Hey guys, this is a post edit. I just wanted to say condolences to Canada for losing the rugby so badly, but I understand that you are not a rugby playing nation. But don't feel too badly because two-time ex-world champions South Africa are really struggling. And if ex-champions can't do it, what much can we say about a non-rugby playing nation? So, sorry. Now onto the video. Hey, how's it guys, and welcome to my channel. I just want to start off by thanking all you guys who gave my videos a view. You guys make me very happy. For today's video, I'm gonna do a little bit of a nostalgic mishmash, and I want to talk about the Voyager's missions. But before I get to that, you guys know me by now. You know that I have to pick on what flat earthers say and do. And yesterday, I was actually blown away by the level of fraudulent actions of flat earthers. I mean, as you guys know, I am from South Africa, and the South African government have been embroiled in fraud and corruption ever since they took over in 1994. And about 5 years ago, the details of how they went about their corruption started coming to the surface. And the one night I told my hubby, you know, I wonder if the ANC sits down during the night and almost like, what is that word when you plan to deceive the people? Yeah, you know, because so much details was coming out that obviously the corruption wasn't a new thing. So right now we are having the state capture inquiry, where it actually is going on for more than a year now, where how the corruption was carried out and how many departments are involved are now coming to the fore. So when I heard about this yesterday, I was so shocked that the level of deception that flat earthers will go through just to try and keep their flat earth. I was so shocked. And I was watching a video by BM Furball where he was highlighting. And you guys know I don't usually like to name the flat earthers who come up with all this ludicrous stuff. But for this one, I have to name the flat earther. And that is Anthony Riley, aka Sleeping Warrior. And he was having a discussion with some, if I'm not mistaken, it was Quantum Eraser and somebody else. And they were discussing a rejection letter that was sent to Albert Einstein when he applied for an associate professorship at a university in Switzerland. Now, the thing about, premeditated deception is that the levels that these guys reach is beyond my comprehension. When I find out about these levels of deception, I always ask myself, I mean, how do they even come up with these ideas just so they can push their own narratives? For example, with Anthony Riley, apparently a letter surfaced that Einstein was rejected for this associate professorship. But BM Furball was able to highlight how Anthony Riley was cropping and making the letter look as if it was authentic, but it wasn't. So what I found out was that firstly, the supposed person who wrote that rejection letter never existed, never worked at this university. And secondly, Anthony Riley tried to block off the picture of Einstein at the top of this letter. And thirdly, the letter was written in English, although it was a German university, and isn't Einstein of Austrian descent? So the levels of deception are way beyond my comprehension. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the Voyagers, is because when I was a young kid growing up in South Africa, and as you guys know, South Africa had apartheid, and I grew up in apartheid. But even so, we were still in touch with the outside world. I don't know how, because I know that we had a lot of sanctions, but South Africa had become self-sufficient. And when TV came to South Africa in 1976, and we got our TV in 1982, and in sometime in 1983 we got our first telephone, and sometime in 1985 my mom bought a microwave oven. So South Africa, although we were in apartheid, we still had connections to the outside world. I mean, we always had stock from China and India, and when I was growing up, there wasn't like a food shortage, or, you know, money had value. The rand was only something like 2 rand to the dollar, and now it's just a little bit more than 15 rand to the dollar. So things have changed. But as a young person, I started learning, you know, young people learn and learn and learn, and I became fascinated with things outside of Earth, the moon, the stars, the planets. And then I learned that there is even more than what we see in our night sky, you know. Our vision is limited. And then I discovered that we already put a man on the moon, and the Russians were the first ones to put a man in space. The Americans landed on the moon. And throughout my early childhood and teen years, the space missions carried on through the late 70s and early 80s. And I was very fascinated to learn that if we had to travel to Pluto, it would take some 24 years to get there. But I suspect that that was a, you know, leave Earth and straight to Pluto kind of trajectory. And what we know now is that the Voyagers have taken plus minus 38 years to get to the outer reaches of our solar system. And in some time in 2018, the Voyagers have reached interstellar space. So things have changed so much in the last 40 years. And, you know, we make discovery upon discovery, confirming hypotheses and assumptions that we've held in the past. Like, for example, gravity. This Voyager's mission is a perfect example of gravity working, gravity in action, because the Voyager's spacecraft was able to use the gravity of Jupiter and Saturn to slingshot itself further in its mission on the way to the edge of our solar system. And had those formulas and calculations of the theory of general relativity and the law of gravitational attraction not been true, then this Voyager missions would have been a failure. The Voyager's missions was an awesome idea. I know that later on we sent craft to Saturn, and I think that was Cassini. And also we've got some satellites staring at the sun the whole time, you know. And we've got now other space agencies, the Israelis, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Indians, who are all trying to learn more, achieve more, do more, go further, explore more. And although the Indians' lander failed, the objectives of that entire mission still goes on, because they are going to map out the moon over the next 7 years. And I watched wonderful person Anton, go sub to him, because he gives us, every day he puts out a video which teaches us a little bit more of what's happening in space and how the scientists are figuring things out. So now the Voyagers have entered interstellar space. And how do we know that the Voyagers have entered interstellar space? It's because our sun's reaches of heat and light obviously only has a certain extent, and the cosmic dust is now interfering with the sun's rays, and the readings are different. And that's how we know we have now entered interstellar space. So the edge of the outer solar system is only the beginning of another journey to take us through a space called the Kuiper Belt, which is full of icy, rocky debris, all still orbiting our sun, which is obviously still in the gravitational grasp of our sun, but it's so far from our sun that the heat is negligible. So we've got icy, rocky objects orbiting our sun, but at the outer reaches of the edge of our solar system. And that journey is going to take about 30,000 years. And who knows what's going to be happening on Earth in 30,000 years, you know. But now that we know all of these things, and we know that it is possible to send craft away from Earth and check out other objects, also learning that there are lots and lots and lots and lots of objects that we still haven't mapped out or discovered. I mean, Neptune's orbit is something like 187 Earth years. So, like, it's going to take like 2 or 3 lifetimes of one person to see Neptune orbit once. Oh my goodness, I can deviate a lot. But as you can hear, I have a lot to say. But the main objective of the Voyagers wasn't just to, oh, okay, let's go to the edge of our solar system. We were able to use this opportunity to take real photos of those planets that for hundreds and hundreds of years we've just been observing from here on Earth. And the invention of the telescope confirmed that those planets are there. But now we have taken photos of them from where they are, if you can understand what I am saying. So flat earthers can stop denying that space exists, because firstly, Earth is part of space, and secondly, we have seen those photos. that Voyagers have taken, right? And then maybe flat earthers can start just denying that space outside the solar system doesn't exist, okay? And those flat earthers who want to have the stupidest argument I've ever heard, which was that there is no observer, so it doesn't make it true. But the Voyager and its cameras are the observers. And that data was relayed to us, and the scientists have converted it back to the images. So we cannot say that the photographs aren't real because there wasn't an observer to click the camera or whatever. That argument doesn't stand. There are many websites and many channels here on YouTube who showcase these photos. And you've got the guys like Astrum and V101 Science. If you go check them out, they will give you more details about the photos that the Voyagers took. So we have absolute proof that space exists. The planets Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Well, Pluto is not a planet anymore, but they all exist. And now our Voyagers are traversing the outer skirts of our own solar system, traversing interstellar space. Unfortunately, the instrumentation is going to be shut down next year in 2020 to conserve power, to make the Voyagers go further. And the Voyagers are just an awesome feat. 2 man-made objects now in the outer reaches of our own solar system. So guys, I've been talking over these photographs that I've been taking since last year, and as you can see, the position of the sun changes throughout the year. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.